How's it going? And welcome back to my series on Michigan's ancient copper mining. And today we're going to be talking about rocks. And the rocks I mean would be dolmens or standing stones in either Michigan or the Great Lakes region. Now, I've only found one dolmen in the actual Upper Peninsula itself, and whether it's an actual dolmen or not, it's up for debate. The scientific explanation of any dolmen-style rocks or standing stones in the United States or the upper Midwest here is that they are glacial erratics. Now, a glacial erratic is a stone that was inside of or on top of a glacier when the glaciers covered North America. And as it melted, it set these stones in different locations and on the ground. And sometimes they look like they were placed there by humans, which I'm leaning towards the dolmens that I'm going to be talking about today. They're mostly in Michigan, northern Minnesota, and Ontario, Canada, but it's all around within the Lake Superior Great Lakes region. And the funny thing about these dolmens is they are all placed precisely on top of three smaller stones. And these are big rocks. Some of them, they're 900 plus pounds. So it's not something you can just easily move. And they're all in pretty remote locations along waterways or up atop of mountains. Well, what we have for mountains in Michigan, at least. So the argument that a glacier dropped a stone perfectly on top of three smaller stones and balanced it out on top of a cliff overlooking a lake, it's kind of, that seems a bit fishy, a little far-fetched. It would seem to me that humans definitely set these here as either markers or a religious site. We were unsure. Now, these stones are nothing like the dolmens that you find in, say, Ireland or England. They are a lot smaller. The stones they're sitting on are a lot smaller than their counterparts across the Atlantic Ocean. And this one right here is one in Sweden. This picture was taken by the late Fred Rydholm on one of his trips to Sweden. And as you can see, this larger rock is sitting on top of the three much smaller rocks. These are the same type of dolmens that have been found in the Great Lakes region. Many theories come along with these strange and mysterious rocks, and one of them being that it was Vikings, or that it was the indigenous peoples of the area using them as markings for deeper channels and waterways to navigate their ships and boats through. Or it was in some other ancient civilization that came through with their boats and could have been the ones that were trading with ancient indigenous people of the area for the copper. So the first dolmen I wanted to get into is the only one that I'm aware of in the Upper Peninsula, and that is a Huron Mountain dolmen. Huron Mountain is located northwest of Marquette, Michigan, overlooking Lake Superior. The larger stone that sits upon the smaller stones is approximately 5.5 cubic feet in size and weighs approximately 900 pounds. People that have been up there looking at the stone have also found that 180 feet to the east of the dolmen is a standing stone that they believe is a marker for the sunrise of the equinox as it lines up with a distant peak. I'm hopefully planning to make a trip up there this summer and check it out myself to see what I can figure out. And I'll definitely take you along with me and get some videos and pictures and make my own assessments on it, and hopefully talk to people in the area that are affiliated with the Huron Mountain Club, as it is on property owned by the Huron Mountain Club, and I believe it is restricted access without permission. So that's definitely on the list of projects. All right. Now we're going to take a jaunt to the west to Minnesota, northwest actually, as it'll be up and towards the boundary waters near the Canadian border. This dolmen goes by a few different names, such as the Sawbill Landing Dolmen, the Kelso River Dolmen, the Boundary Waters Dolmen. I found a lot of different names for it online, but we'll go with the Sawbill Landing Dolmen, as that is the nearest place to access the waterways to get to it. It is located in Minnesota's Superior National Forest, west of Sawbill Lake, on a small island in Lake Lucinda. And there are two perched rocks. There's one perched on the north shore and one on the south shore, with the dolmen in between, possibly being markers or processions of different celestial movements in the sky. All three of these rocks in a line together, though, make a perfect north to south line when you line them up. What's interesting about this dolmen is allegedly there are carvings or petroglyphs of lettering or symbols on the rock. On the backside, there are deep man-made grooves believed to be interpreted as Augum symbols of B and L, or the sun god name of Baal. Now, in Augum script, which originates in Ireland, ancient Ireland, the single line is a B, and the two double lines reference the L. And the photo I'm going to show here is from the book I have, Ancient Minds of the Kichigumi. And it's the artist's drawing of the stone itself and the inscriptions on the backside. Whether or not there's any truth to it, I don't know. I've tried looking online for anything. Very, very slim pickings out there for any dolmens in America because they say there are no dolmens in America. Well, what are these? Other perched rocks appear to accompany in the area along the Temperance River going south. And the Temperance River actually takes any travelers on it down to Lake Superior. Also, according to James P. Schertz and the Midwest members of ISAC, or the Institute for the Studies of American Culture, say there is a stone ring in the same area along the Temperance River near the Sawbill Dolmen. Now, I haven't been able to find any publications or proof of that, unfortunately, so as of now, it is up in the air if it actually exists or not. Now, the author of this book that I'm referencing a lot of these stones and dolmens out of, the Ancient Minds of the Kichigumi, has a section on the dolmens and the areas. There is a part that mentions when he was a district ranger working for the Forest Service, he was shown a standing stone near Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. He mentions that although the stone is not as dramatic as the other two dolmens mentioned, it does have the same 3-line inscription, also represent the same Augum word for Baal. Who Baal was the sun god of the Canaanites of the eastern Mediterranean. This rock is atop a high ridge, which at one time was an island in a glacial lake, and this glacial lake would have included Lake Superior. He goes on to say the adjacent outcropping does have some more markings, but archaeologists had told him that they're not interested in it, and no further studies or surveys have been made. Now, I kept searching for some more dolmens in the region, and I'd come across a guy who goes by the name of Backroads Bill, and he has traveled around and located some dolmen areas in Ontario. He's documented a few different dolmen sites, including one south of White River, and another one in Ignis on Cecil Lake. And my favorite of the three is a dolmen near White Otter Lake. There are stories that these were also found 50 years ago by some of the locals, and they said that the natives in the area had used them as religious sites. But other than that, there has been no archaeological recordings or funded digs in any of these areas, so they're not recorded on any archaeological sites. But there is a website that shows directions and how to get to these different dolmens, and I'll put that in the link along with the article that Backroads Bill had posted about these dolmens up in Ontario. I'm sure there's many, many more dolmens and standing stones in the Michigan and Midwest area, but I'm only reporting on the ones that I've found either online or in books. There's just not any research on it because the parroted fact from archaeologists is there are no dolmens in the Americas, which I'm going to call BS on that. Which we've just shown. And it's funny because they always say, oh, there's no dolmens. They're just glacial erratics. Yeah, the glaciers really must have had a fun time setting the stones on top of 3 smaller stones perfectly. The chances of that happening randomly in even a handful of sites, yeah. No. My belief is that they were man-made. Whether there could have been, if maybe the Vikings made it this far because of the beliefs, the Vikings made it all the way towards Minnesota with the Kensington runestone and the Viking type culture that Minnesota is known for. That has to start somewhere other than just modern immigrants. Or it was the native people of the areas that just somehow were able to move these massive rocks and set them on top of other rocks to use as religious sites or markers along the riverways. Or someone else completely could have done it. Could have been Mediterranean or from England based on the markings that represent Augum script. We don't know. My beliefs is that they are all man-made, the ones that I'm showing. I think they need to be studied more, looked into more by mainstream archaeology or any archaeologists because there's some significance there. But what do I know? I'm just a guy from the UP that has interest in ancient civilizations and theories and mysteries. I'm no expert. What do you think? I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think they're glacial erratics? Or do you think that someone built them as markers or something else? Do you think it was people that were here? Do you think it was people that came from across the Atlantic Ocean? Let me know. Really like to know you guys' thoughts and theories on this. And if you have any other dolmen sites or standing rocks that you are aware of in the Midwest here or the Great Lakes region, I'd love to know about it. Please reach out. Comment, reach out on X, It'd be great. That's all for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Want to thank you all if you made it this far. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.